We're thinking in terms of 25% on Mexico and Canada. We're talking about a tariff of 10% on China. The European Union is very, very bad to us. We have Liberation Day, as you know, on April 2nd. Many countries have taken advantage of us, the likes of which nobody even thought was possible for many, many decades, And, that has to stop.
U.S. President Donald Trump has been calling April 2nd Liberation Day for weeks. It's the day he'll be unveiling an array of new tariffs that could upend the global trade system. Here's what to expect. Trump has threatened tariffs on all countries who, he says, have disadvantaged American goods and workers. White House aides have drafted plans for tariffs of about 20% on most of the $3 trillion of goods imported annually to the U.S. That's according to the Washington Post, which says no final decision has been made. The report also said trillions of dollars made from new import revenue might be used for a dividend or refund to American taxpayers. A White House aide said any report ahead of tomorrow's event is mere speculation. Trump has already imposed tariffs on aluminum, steel, and autos, along with increased tariffs on all goods from China. That's raised tensions with America's largest trading partners and vows of retaliation. Trump argues that American workers and manufacturers have been hurt by free trade deals, which lowered barriers to global commerce. But economists warn that his tariffs will raise prices at home and abroad and hammer the global economy. A 20% tariff on top of the ones already imposed will cost the average U.S. household at least $3,400, according to the Yale University Budget Lab.
I'm worried about the tariffs.
Why?
Because it's going to make up most of what I buy more expensive if it still remains available.
My family's worried. I'm worried.
I think it's going to hurt a lot of people in this country, yes. Yeah.
Why do you think that?
Well, the increase in prices, things are tough enough as it is now, and then increasing prices is going to hurt a lot of pocketbooks here.
We've been making cars in Canada and Mexico for over a century now, and we make them there for good reason, and our prices here are very high, our wages are much higher, and I'm very concerned about people. My car is new. I have no concerns. People are going to need cars in April, May, and June, and times are tight.
There's not much I can do to prepare since so much of what I buy comes from outside the United States, and I don't live in a huge apartment.
Yeah, some people do the stockpiling and stuff like that.
But it's hard to do with in not a large apartment in Manhattan.
I'm not buying as much as I used to, that's for sure. Yeah, I just buy what I need, basically. Yeah.
Right now, I am not buying more. I may be buying a case or two of wine because my wife has a wine that she likes, and it might not be coming in.
From France?
From Austria.
Don't take my words about how much these tariffs are going to cost. Take the ever colorful Peter Navarro, who Trump's one of his trade people, says it will raise $100 billion off the car tariffs this year, $600 billion off the reciprocal tariffs, $700 billion tariff fees. Who's going to pay those? American consumers. This will be the largest tax increase on American consumers in modern times. End of story.
Those days of America, beginning tomorrow, being ripped off are over. American workers and businesses will be put first under President Trump, just as he promised on the campaign trail. The president's historic action tomorrow will improve American competitiveness in every area of industry, reduce our massive trade deficits, and ultimately protect our economic and national security. President Trump's economic vision is rooted in common sense. America will offer companies the lowest taxes, energy costs, regulations, if they make their products right here in the United States and hire American workers for the job. It's simple. If you make your product in America, you will pay no tariffs.
But what if they're wrong?
They're not going to be wrong. It is going to work. And the president has a brilliant team of advisors who have been studying these issues for decades. We are focused on restoring the golden age of America and making America a manufacturing superpower.
Canada is a friend, not an adversary. Canada is a sovereign nation, not a 51st state. And while we always have challenges with friends, we have a mechanism that Donald Trump negotiated, the USMCA, that enables us to work through trade deals, and we don't need tariffs at all. The president has justified the imposition of these tariffs on, in my view, a made-up emergency.
Our base malt, really the primary ingredient that goes into our beer, besides water, is Canadian Pilsner malt. It's a very specific strain of high-quality barley that grows in the cold climate of Canada. And there's not a suitable U.S. substitute that we can get of the same quality to make our beer. So we've relied on Canadian Pilsner malt for the past 14 years since we opened to brew our world-class quality beer. If there's a 25% tariff on this basic ingredient, it's going to slow our business down. We're going to have to raise our prices, and by the time it goes from us to our distributor, to the retailer, to the consumer, this $12.99 six-pack of beer is going to end up at $18.99. And so how many people are still going to want to buy a six-pack of great-tasting beer, but at $18.99? People are going to start looking for a different substitute.
President Trump says, quote, "I couldn't care less if prices go up to American families." America, you hear that? Donald Trump says he couldn't care less if you pay more. And it's not just a little. The estimates go as high as $6,500 more for the average American family. To the family that's sitting down Friday night and trying to figure out, do they have enough money to go on that vacation, or to visit grandma, or maybe to buy a car? Take away $6,500 and those dreams are out the window. And Trump couldn't care less? You know, they always make up an excuse because they have no justification for what they're really doing. In this case, they say fentanyl, but the amount of fentanyl that comes over the Canadian border is minuscule. They're doing it so they raise revenue so they can give tax cuts to the billionaires like everything else. The whole government is geared, whether it's Social Security or Medicaid or Medicare or housing or agriculture, the whole government is geared to create the dollars that can give tax breaks to the billionaires. And one final thing. Yes, are there certain areas where tariffs might be needed? Yes, it should be pinpointed in specific areas. But typical of this administration, they use a blunderbuss instead of a scalpel. They use a hatchet instead of a scalpel.
Chainsaw.
They use a chainsaw instead of a scalpel. Thank you, Tim. And they just go after everything with huge destruction for the American people.
Would have done them on April 1st. Believe it or not, I'm a little superstitious.